Hey guys, welcome to First Reaction. My name is Eve, and this is going to be the top 3 things that happened in episode 702, The Well of The Walking Dead. So number 1 is Carol. Now Carol wakes up in the beginning of the episode to Morgan and a bunch of Kingdom warriors basically fending off walkers for her. She's still feeling a bit bad, and because she was injured, and she wakes up again 2 days later in the Kingdom. Now she meets Ezekiel and all that, and we'll get to that in a second, but her state of mind when she goes to the Kingdom is that she thinks it's all a joke, right? Why is there a king? They're eating cobbler for every meal, and people are pretending like it's all goody-goody. Well, all the real stuff, as she puts it, is happening outside. So she wants to leave the whole episode, right? She wants to leave and be by herself. She doesn't want to be around people because she doesn't want to care about people anymore. Even the walkers, she's starting to see as, people again. She sees them getting killed, and she sees them as real people. But right as she was about to leave the Kingdom, Ezekiel stops her and says, look, we'll get to Ezekiel in a second, but he's been pretending this whole time, living this double truth, right? He both believes and doesn't believe, right? He's both king and not king, right? So he urges Carol to try it out, right? She can both leave and not leave, and of course it's contradictory, but that's what she does. She takes the house right outside of the compound. She is living by herself, but at the same time, she's not totally gone, right? There's still people there in the Kingdom right next to her. She doesn't have to abide by their rules per se, but she's still in a way a part of that community, right? Which is a win-win. Now, what do you think is going on with Carol so far? Do you think she's on an upward psychological battle, or is she just getting worse? So what do you think? Number 2, he's called King Ezekiel. What? Yeah, and he has a tiger. So one of the funnier episodes of The Walking Dead, I think. This episode, things are kind of goofy. The Kingdom's kind of weird, and it's all because of this man, this king named Ezekiel. Now Ezekiel, he even talks like a king, presents himself as a king. He has a tiger named Shiva, right? So what do you think about Ezekiel in general as a character? Now, at first I thought, well, this guy's kind of going over the top, right? But then with Morgan, we find out, oh, actually, the way he's keeping this place safe is, even though people are on horseback and they're not using guns really, unless they're out hunting, right? Is that he's been making the deal with He's been making the deal with Negan this whole time, right? And it's obvious that they have bad blood with Negan, but they have decided for the greater good of their community, they will tax, and they will pay the tax in the form of 8 bloated pigs that have been eating zombies this whole time. You find out why the pigs have been eating zombie guts, right? It's because they are feeding the pigs to Negan's people. So they're giving their offering, and that's how they're keeping their kingdom safe. But but you can kind of tell with the person who's taking care of the pigs that there's still bad blood between those two, and we're going to have to keep a close eye on the relationship between the Kingdom's community and Negan's saviors. Back on King Ezekiel though, right before Carol leaves, he opens up to Carol and he says, look, Carol, I know this kind of looks ridiculous, but in his own words, he faked it till he made it, right? He was not king. He was a zookeeper, and that's how he gets Shiva, the tiger, right? But he saved Shiva. That's why Shiva thinks of him as her master. And also, he also was a part-time actor, and he knows how to present himself as a king. And people needed leaders. That's what he found out in his days, before the Kingdom. He found out that people need direction. They need someone to follow. So he played that part for the survival of the other people. He says himself he helps people because it makes him feel good, and it makes him feel good to give these people direction, to give these people purpose, right? Wherever there's people, there's life, there's love. And that's what he wanted for Carol, and that's why he doesn't really want Carol to leave. As you can see at the end, even when Carol's living by herself, he shows up at her door, right? He's like, you should really try this. He's actually trying to integrate her into the Kingdom community, and he's already told her his secret. And also Morgan has a secret of his as well. Morgan knows that they've made the deal with Negan, and they don't want the real people to know that, because the community members, they're going to want to fight back, and he does not want to see anybody die, right? So he'd rather pay the tax and keep the peace. But we also get a hint saying, look, secrets are not something you should be proud of. They're supposed to be a burden, right? And we know 2 secrets now. He realizes that he's not really a king in a traditional sense, and he is doing the deal with Negan's saviors, so those secrets might come back later and, bite them, the Kingdom, in the ass, right? So what do you think is going to happen between the Kingdom and Negan's community? And finally, the third thing was, I already mentioned it before, was that the Kingdom's making the deal with Negan, paying them every week, right? This week it's pig, next week it's produce, right? So we haven't seen Ezekiel interact with Negan yet, but I think that's just something to look forward to. How is Negan going to interact with Ezekiel? How are the people back at, Alexandria? Whatever, the place we were at last season. How are those people going to assimilate to meeting people from the Kingdom, right? Or how are Rick's group still back in Alexandria? I think that's the name. I forget. I'm sorry if I'm getting the places mixed up. How are those people going to assimilate to the Glenn's and Abraham's death? Are they going to want to surrender to Negan right away, or are they not, right? And what do you think is going to happen next episode? Are we going to take a look into Negan's community? Are we going to follow Daryl in there, or are we just going to stay with Rick's group for a bit and get to see through Daryl's point of view in the episode after that? So, those are my top 3 things that happened this episode, and things are going well for 7th season, and I'm still intrigued, right? Maybe not so much action, not so much zombie killings, but I'm intrigued by the storyline at this point, and I like the characters, and my favorite characters are not dead yet, Carol and Daryl, and Morgan, so we'll see. Alright guys, see you next time. I'll try to do a review for Westworld tomorrow. Hopefully I get that done soon, and let me know what you think. Peace, take it easy.